Hi, Brendan from musiqhub Hawke's Bay here. Thanks for that, Molly. I think it's probably about time we learned some chords. So what we're going to start with is a very common chord. Pops up in loads and loads of songs, E minor. What's good about this one? Only uses 2 fingers on our left hand to do this, okay? Or if you're right-handed, it'll be these 2 fingers in the middle here. So the way we make this chord, or any chord really, in fact, is we want to make sure when we're making a chord that our thumb is situated behind the neck there. So if you can see just there, my thumb straight up and down, I don't want to see them poking out the front there. Not a very good idea that, especially when you start changing chords, that's going to become very awkward and very difficult to do. So what we want is our thumb kind of behind here, as if we were going to be squeezing behind like this, okay? So we're using our fingers just to squeeze like that. So with our thumb behind, what we're going to do now is we're going to move, we're going to take our second finger and we're going to put it in the on the 5th string 2nd fret. Okay, so what that means is this is my 1st fret area down here, I move down to my 2nd fret area and I count up to the 5th string. I go 1, remember we start from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5th string right there. And I take my 2nd finger and I place them in there, okay? Again, as close to those fret wires as possible, the 2nd fret wire there. And now we're going to take our 3rd finger, this one, and we're going to pop them right underneath in the 2nd fret space of the 4th string. So I counted that up, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's on that string there. So we have this kind of shape there, okay? And you can see I've got a nice big gap in there. I'm not touching any other string. This is very, very important. I'll show you why in just a few minutes. Okay, so once we've got that, give it a little bit of a squeeze, and you should be able to hear, if we went 1 string at a time, you'd hear this. Every string ringing nice and clearly. And we can strum it like that if we wish, okay? I'll just give you a close-up shot of what my fingers were doing there. Okay, so 1st finger, 2nd fret of the 2nd finger, 2nd fret of the 5th string. 3rd finger, 2nd fret of the 4th string. So you can see there how that kind of looks. I'll get those fingers out of the way there, okay? Alright. And you can see my thumb sticking up behind there. He can be down a little bit or up. We don't really want to see him lying down on his side. Sticking up like that's okay, so you can kind of see him. Or down a little bit more. So we're squeezing behind the neck there to get all those sounds out, okay? Alright. The other way that people like to do E minor, the other common way, is to use just our 1st and 2nd fingers on our left hand here. And again, it's the same idea, but this time we're going to put our 1st finger in the 2nd fret of the 5th string and our 2nd finger in the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Okay? So it's the same thing, it's the same shape over here, but we're just choosing to use different fingers. This can be handy for different songs, depending what chords we're changing to and things like that later on. This is a very common way of doing it as well. Makes exactly the same sound, whichever fingers I use. You could even choose to use your 3rd and 4th fingers if you wanted to. It makes the same sound. This is probably not the best way for beginners though. What I would suggest is either using your 2nd and 3rd finger or your 1st and 2nd fingers, okay? Just making them in those little spots there. Okay. Now when you're learning a chord, a good little thing to try and do is take your left hand or whichever hand you're fretting your notes with, pop it on your lap for a second, and then think, okay, E minor, what does it look like? And what you want to try and do is bring your hand around and try and make that shape all in one hit. So you're doing this sort of thing, you put your hand on your lap, make sure your fingers are nice and open, and form the E minor, kind of forming it in mid-air here before you kind of push it down. Boom, push it down, strum. Now this is a great little exercise, especially as you progress as a guitar player and you're learning to change between a lot of chords. Doing this sort of thing might seem very basic at the moment, but it really helps later on, memorizing those chords, okay? Which is a big thing. Just like that. A few mistakes that I see people making when they're first starting to learn chords especially is, the biggest one is not having their thumb behind, okay? They try and do it with a thumb out the front here, and you will get a pretty good sound out of that, but later on when you want to change chords, that is so awkward. So do remember to have your thumb behind so you're squeezing and pinching like this, okay? Some people refer to this particular chord as the Spider-Man chord, because we're kind of doing this behind there, like we're going to be shooting webs out or something like that. Okay. The other common mistake that I see a lot is having the fingers sort of lying over all the strings. Not getting up on your fingertips. Very important to use just your fingertips. Okay. So bending your hand right around. You can see if I'm like this, my hand's back here a little bit. I'm going to get this sort of sound. Not very pretty. All I have to do to correct that though, my fingers are in the right places, and my fingertips are in the right places here. All I have to do is just bring my hand forward a little bit. You can see how it's right out in front now, and I've got this nice big gap in here. I'm not touching any other string. So all my strings are ringing out nice and clearly. Just like that, okay? So, a couple of things to remember. Thumb behind, squeezing into it, and just the very tips of your fingers. You should get a nice clear sound. If I can go one string at a time, I'm going to get that. If I strummed a lot, we're going to get that. Cool. Good luck with that.